Well, hey, welcome again this week to ATL Home and Market Podcast. Glad to have you back. We're actually having a pretty good weather time here because I look out the windows and it's not snowing, it's bright, it's sunny, and it's only about 67 or 70 degrees. So it's really pleasant. So, welcome back, and I hope you're having a great day. I'm Ira Miskin, and I am a broker for Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and also co-team leader for the Miskin team at Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And with us today is Stephanie Miskin, who is our co-team leader. And we have a special guest today. It's Ronny Sulimani. And Ronny is CEO of Global Benefit Partners, which is a really nice, great formal name for a company that does extraordinary work on a day-to-day basis with real people in an area that usually scares the daylights out of most people, but is essential, which is called insurance. And insurance is something that takes so many different forms and applies in many ways to the purchase and sell and maintaining real estate. And so we're going to spend this hour talking with Ronny, and Ronny is going to give us some pretty good insight into some key areas that I think are going to really help you a great deal. And we'll also let you know how, if you have further questions after this podcast, you can actually get in touch with Ronny and he can help you to walk in the right direction. But before we do that, Stephanie this week has some very cool springtime activities that are going on in and around Metro Atlanta that I think will be fun for a lot of people to just have a good time with over the next couple of weeks and weekends. Stephanie, tell us what you got this week.
Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm excited to be here. I am excited that winter is gone and spring is here. And the South is a great place in the springtime. The flowers are blooming. You know, everybody's out. There are all kinds of stuff happening, festivals, concerts, music. So it's just a wonderful time of the year here. It's not real hot and it's not cold. So I'm a happy camper. So what I'm going to tell you about today is next weekend. I'm going to keep it to like 2 weekends so that you can mark it on your calendar and get ready. And next weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend is Mother's Day. And there are tons of things going on. And I'm trying to find things all around town. So depending upon what part of town you live in, this will be close to you. Now in Ackworth on Mother's Day weekend, we have Smoke on the Lake barbecue, and that's on Lake Ackworth and in Logan Park. And it's going to be barbecue, live music. It's just a fun, easy family outing. And if you're looking for something casual to do that weekend, that's great. And that's happening in Woodstock. In Ackworth. The same weekend, Woodstock kicks off their summer concert series. That's going to happen on May the 9th. And that's always held in the amphitheater in downtown Woodstock. The opener is Black Jacket Symphony, and they're doing Bon Jovi, Slippery When Wet, along with other hits. It's an outdoor concert, downtown Woodstock. Get there early, get your seat. Have a great time. I mean, there's so much to do in downtown Woodstock. If you haven't been there, check it out. Also the same weekend in Cherokee County, we have the Mother's Day Powwow and Indian Festival at Bowling Park. And this includes Native American dancers, artisans. It's so much fun. It's right along the Etowah River up there. It's a great, fun festival to bring the kids. I went there many, many, many years ago when my kids were little, and it's a ball. It's a lot of fun, and that's happening in Cherokee County. And if you live in Atlanta and you're downtown, there's the Sweet Auburn Spring Fest, which is also happening on Mother's Day weekend. And this is in historic Sweet Auburn area. Food, vendors, crafts, music, a great thing to do if you're in Atlanta proper. So that's all happening Mother's Day weekend. If we go into the next weekend, you can put these things on your calendar. This is always one of my favorites. This is happening here in Marietta, and it's the Marietta Greek Festival. at Holy Transfiguration Greek Orthodox Church. Unbelievable music. If you like baklava and dancing and food, and it's a great festival. And you get to tour the church itself and see all of the artifacts within the church. It's really a lot of fun. In Gwinnett, that same weekend, you have the Duluth Spring Arts Festival, and that's going to be in downtown Duluth. Lots of fine arts. And this is a juried show. So you're going to see painters, photographers, sculptors, potters. And that is in downtown Duluth. And then also in Douglasville, that same weekend, the Church Street Farmers Market is starting. So if you live in the Douglasville area, get over to the farmers market. It's going to be running every weekend all the way through to September. So you can see there's a ton of stuff to do in May. It's all outdoors because the weather is great. I'd like to spread it around since Atlanta is so spread out. So I'd like to give everybody a little bit something of what's going on that weekend. And I hope you get out and enjoy, one or two of these things. And that's what I have for this week.
Cool. So where are we going this weekend?
Well, it's next weekend. It's Mother's Day. I don't know. We can pick one.
So we're not going anywhere this weekend. We're working, huh?
Not this weekend. Next weekend.
Maybe
we'll go to the powwow. I always like the powwow. Reminds me of when the kids were little.
Yeah, and I like the Greek festival because I just like to eat and drink.
Yeah, well, that's the following weekend. We can do that the following weekend.
Well, I'll work on it. So, Ronny, in between all the festivals, actually works helping people to figure out their insurance programs. And, I know the insurance industry, just like a lot of industries, certainly the real estate industry, has really changed a great deal in reaction to what's happened in the economy over the last 5 or 6 years, particularly post COVID, and a lot of people transitioning from being W-2 workers to going into independent contractor work, 1099 work. Ronny, just an overview of really what has happened in the real estate marketplace, what's changed, and what you're seeing, and how Global and Strategic have begun to approach helping people to deal with those changes.
Well, on the homeowners side, you have a couple of things. You have the floods, the fires, the hurricanes. The carriers themselves have just been paying out enormous claims, and the more claims they pay out, our premium is going to keep going up. Plus, you also have home values have gone up at least 50%.
Yeah.
From COVID to now. So, and also material costs have gone up as well. So all of these costs trickle down to us, the homeowners, the buyers. And unfortunately, on the homeowner side, a lot of carriers now have even stopped. So if you want to reprice or go to another carrier, and just price around, which everyone should do every 2 years anyway, to see if there are better rates with other carriers, can't do that anymore, because a lot of the carriers are saying, you know what, we want to manage the book of business that we currently have. We don't want to take on additional risk. And if you do get a quote, make sure you're sitting down, because you might fall over, because sometimes it's 100 or 150% more than what you're paying now. So it's better off staying where you are.
And how has the shift in people moving from that W-2 world to that 1099 world changed things, or at least how it's changing things for those people who are doing shifting? Because it's insurance for your properties, it's insurance personal, and a big one, which is your health insurance. All of that completely changes when you go independent, doesn't it?
Correct. So when you're working for a company that offers health insurance, they're probably paying anywhere from 50 to 75% of that premium. So it's manageable. It's either $250 every 2 weeks or $300 every. So it's manageable, but you don't see what the company's paying. Then when you leave, and by law, they have to offer you COBRA. And all COBRA really is that it allows you to stay on that corporate plan for 18 months, but now you're paying the entire bill, which can be for a family. So I'll give you a perfect example. When I left Mass Mutual and opened up my own company, and I was paying $600 a month for my family, which is great. Then I found out that they were subsidizing it by almost 75%, and I get offered COBRA for $2,400.
Wow.
Right? So you have to look for alternatives. Now, fortunately for me, or unfortunately, however you want to take it, I made too much money to qualify for the ACA or Marketplace, Obamacare, whatever you want to call it. I don't qualify for the subsidy. So, you're between a rock and a hard place. So what we do at Global Benefits Partners is we find alternatives. We actually find carriers that want to work with 1099 contractors, regardless of their income. And also our most popular plan is what a lot of people don't. And I was in the business for 12 years before I found out what health share is. And health share are these non-for-profit organizations you become a member of that cover you for a fraction of the cost of major medical. Now, if there are people that have pre-existing conditions and things, are on certain medications, I get it. You really can't use a health share plan because the medications might be too expensive or any therapies that you're getting. But for 80% of the country who are fairly healthy, there are other alternatives out there.
Okay. So, Steph, you had a question, I think.
Yeah. So I want to just stay on this topic a little bit because I think that's I think that you're correct in the fact that I bet you so many people don't even know about that, what you were just talking about. And, it's really very, very scary when you are a 1099 and you have a family and all of a sudden you're trying to figure out, okay, what do I do? How do people even find out about this stuff? And, what do they do to proceed with that? What you were just talking about.
Right. Well, it's all about education. And one of the things that we pride ourselves on is, we want to schedule a consultation with the individual. We want to learn about the individual, about their families and what their needs are. And then accordingly, we talk to them. And it's amazing how, west of the Mississippi, a lot of people do know about health share, because there was the Christian Ministry and Medishare and all these, and that's primarily where it started. And here on the East Coast, it's amazing how many people are like, I've never heard of this.
Right.
Well, it's only been around for 50 years.
Really?
But
wow.
yeah. So now I think, 50 years ago, there was 2 or 3 companies. And again, they're non-for-profit organizations. But now I know of at least 20 companies that are out there that are offering these alternatives. And people seem to people will benefit from it. I know myself, my own experience. My wife had a surgery 2 years ago, and I only paid $1,500. That was it. So,
Okay.
It's all about education, and we send people the guidelines, and we want them to ask the questions because then they understand. It's like, oh, this is an alternative. This is going to protect my family, but without breaking the bank.
Gotcha. That's real interesting.
See, and I think one of the underlying things that Ronny has said several times is education.
Yeah.
It's insurance. People drive a car, they get car insurance. And there's 20 different car insurance commercials on cable TV, and you pick the one that was the funniest insurer. Maybe they give you the best price as well. But when you get beyond the notion that car insurance is only one aspect of what you have, and particularly when you're owning property or you're thinking about buying a property, one of the things that everybody knows is that my lender's going to make me get homeowners insurance, which Ronnie talked about earlier. How to insure the value of the property so that if something happens, it burns down, it's damaged, you can get the repairs necessary to be able to protect the property, which protects the homeowner. It also protects the lender because the lender wants to know that they've got a full and active and operative property that they've loaned money on that they're getting paid for.
Right.
But when we first met Ronnie and his partners, and they began talking to us about a range of other kinds of insurances that homeowners should be thinking about, home buyers especially, that is not just insuring the property itself, but other kinds of insurance that helps them in life and in managing risk. Ronnie, can you just kind of give us a little bit of an overview of the different things that we had talked about that were really smart, and that it's not the kind of thing that most real estate agents have any understanding of, but could actually educate their clients on?
So one of the products that we offer is estate planning. It's very important for people to have their wills, healthcare proxies, and where do they want to actually own the property? Because you all know, you never want to have, a parent or a loved one pass away and they want to pass that home down to their children or grandchildren, whoever, and now it gets locked up in probate.
Mm-hmm.
So there are ways that you can avoid that if you have the proper documentation, which now you have some of your agents that actually want to add that as one of the added benefits when utilizing one of your agents, which is, again, something that what you were, the whole thing what we're talking about here is education. It's amazing how many people do not have wills. They have no clue. And on the site, we even give some of the, some of the high profile celebrities who've passed away, and you would think you're worth 30, 40 $50 million, and you have no will. That's unheard of. But you'll be surprised. Here, well-known singer Prince left millions of dollars. They say that his archive alone in his studio, in his home, that he could put out a record with 10 songs for the next 70 years. That's how much music they found in his archives. No will, nothing. So any property, songs, art, your home, you need to have it protected.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then there are some interesting insurance products that link with that protection. Well, like one of the things you're talking about was a program where you go ahead and get a secondary insurance, life insurance policy, or an insurance policy that says, okay, I am now sick and can no longer work. I can't make my payments. Is there an insurance policy that can cover that? Or I'm dead. It's the ghost talking. How does that, the balance of the mortgage get covered so that my family is not stuck in a situation where they can't pay the mortgage and they find themselves in foreclosure? Those kinds of things.
Yeah. I am a huge proponent of disability income insurance. Okay. You insure your home, you insure your car, you insure your art, you insure your health. The one thing that everyone is not insuring is the one thing that pays for all that, your income. Now I get it. I've been doing this for a long time. Nobody likes paying for insurance, but if something happens, they're really happy that it's there. So the example that I give my clients very simple. My mother was 34 years old, loving mother, taking care of 2 kids. She and my father owned their own business, a very successful business. And one day in the office, my mom fainted and had a massive stroke. My mom was in Mount Sinai Hospital for 4 months,
Ay.
half her body paralyzed. Okay. When the doctor told my mother that she would never walk again, she had a lot of choice words for that doctor and said, not happening. I have 2 kids to raise. And my mom got back to 90%, but she still was a victim of having a stroke at 34, which is uncommon.
Mhm.
My parents had a ton of life insurance, but you know what their advisor never mentioned? Disability income insurance. And my mom, if she had a policy that we offered to the agents, would have paid out all the way through age 65.
Wow.
So a lot of people look at it as an expense, but you know what? The way we position it, and I show people their income. If you want to make 100% of your income and not protect it, or do you want 95% of your income by just giving me 5%? People
Mhm.
can take that bet all day long. People should have disability income insurance, especially business owners like the realtors, right? Everything revolves around that. And one of the questions on the application is, do you work more than 30 hours a week? And everyone chuckles, like 30 hours a week. Who works 30 hours a week? We're realtors. We work 30 hours a day. We add up 6 hours somehow. So it is something that is, when someone tells me, oh, I don't need that, I say, you know what? Listen to my story, and then you're going to change your mind very quickly. But disability income insurance is a necessity for every business owner. Life insurance, most people, they don't use the human value. They say, oh, you know what? I'm going to just cover the mortgage. We have a $400,000 mortgage on the house, and my wife can go back to work, or my spouse can go back to work. Really? So you just passed away. Your family's mourning, and you just basically gave enough to cover the mortgage. I get it, but what about the loss of income?
Mhm.
So what I like doing is sometimes maybe because it's the New Yorker in me, but I like putting the reality into people's laps. You
Mhm.
tell me, oh, my wife can go back to work, or my husband can go back to work. No, it doesn't work that way. So insurance is a necessity, because the more assets you accumulate and the more you have, you need to protect that. So that's what we stress: health insurance, disability income insurance, life insurance. Those are 3 things that if you do properly, you can make yourself actually bulletproof.
Wow.
So somebody calls you and they're starting the process, and they're trying to figure out insurance, and they're trying to, also deal with their budget. What's the process that you and your team take when somebody calls in and you now have to begin to do the research with them and counsel them and figure out what's going on in their life in order for you to match insurance with what they actually need and what their life is all about?
It really, Ira, it all comes down to basic math. It's, first of all, we want to find out what's important to them. That's the most important. It's the emotion. What's important to you? I have 2 kids. I want to make sure that their college is paid for. If something happens to me, I want to make sure that my spouse doesn't have to go back to work for a certain amount of years to take care of the children. We also have to know what age the children are. Are they young? Is the parent going to want to stay home? So we want to figure out, what's important to them first. Then what we do is we say, okay, mathematically, what's the income? How much do we need to replace that income? If you put that money into a fixed income account, or let's say we put it in the market, but we have to be very, very conservative, is a 5% rate of return feasible? Yeah, 5%. Okay, so it's $50,000 that we need to replace. We know exactly how much life insurance is needed. Okay. And then the same thing with the disability income insurance. What we do with and going back to the healthcare, we're saving people on average, families, $1,200 a month on their health insurance. So
Wow.
if I just saved you $1,200, now we can say, okay, now let's take a portion of this and protect the other stuff. Okay. Because we don't want to make it. When I talk to my clients, I say, I don't want to make this, what we're doing now, an expense. I want to say that this is a necessity to protect all the other stuff.
Mhm.
So that's what we do. That's the approach that we take, because first we have to find out what's important to you. And then we outline, okay, this is what we recommend to take care. So all of that happens.
But what he's saying when he's talking about all of this stuff, and I'm sitting here thinking about it, what I hear, and I hope I'm correct in this, is that you just cover a plethora of different aspects of insurance and life. So you're kind of like a one-stop shop, because when you think about it, I mean, I always thought, well, there's the health insurance guy, and there's the homeowner insurance guy, and there's the auto insurance guy, and there's there were all these different guys and wills. You're correct. I mean, to get a will, you always think, well, you got to go to an attorney to get a will. And so it sounds to me like, it almost sounds to me like you're doing the same thing we do as realtors, which is sit down, really spend time with the person, look at the whole person, see what all the needs are, and then help them out, which I think is phenomenal, because it can be, all of this stuff can be totally daunting to most people.
Yeah, well, insurance is complicated. It gets more and more complicated down the road. And what we really wanted to set out was that, again, you can't be jack of all trades. But what we were able to do with strategic insurance consultants and global benefits partners was say any aspect of the insurance world, because like you said, your investment guy doesn't talk to your insurance guy. Your insurance guy doesn't talk to the attorney. The attorney doesn't talk to the CPA.
Doesn't talk to your health insurance guy.
So what we like to do is almost act as we're the quarterback. So we're going to say, okay, this is you're going to give us you're going to give us the playbook, right? We're going to read the playbook. We're going to understand what your needs are, and to say, okay, this is where we're going to allocate these funds to protect all the stuff that's over here. But that's what we're able to do. And we all stay in our own lane. I'm the healthcare guy. I'm the life insurance guy, the disability guy. And Rich is the homeowners guy. And then Ron is the wealth.com, the wills, estates, and a trust guy. So I was lucky enough to, being in the business for now 16 years, to find the right people to partner with, to say, okay, this is your lane, this is your lane, this is my lane. And now this is how we're able to help our clients.
Yeah, but that's great, because, people trust you, and, so they're going to be comfortable with the fact that if you say, say I came to you for health insurance and then I decided to buy a house, I already have a relationship with you. I'm going to trust you to give me, to send me to your guy for homeowners insurance, which, that you don't have that if you just go to your health insurance guy. He don't know anything about, if you say, well, I'm going to buy a house and I need to buy a house, can you recommend? They usually go, no. So
that's really the key thing that you hit on. It's trust. There are many, many times where we sit with a client, and especially if when I'm speaking to them about their health insurance, and I'll be like, don't change what you have. You're in good shape. We're not salespeople. We're not looking. And if I catch any of my advisors doing something like that, they're gone.
Right.
It's especially with health insurance, you're not buying health insurance for your annual physical. You're not buying health insurance to go to urgent care. You're buying health insurance for the unexpected that, you dread to get that phone call like I got from a client who was on vacation in Hawaii, and the 14-year-old daughter was in ICU for 4 days. You're supposed to be on vacation, creating lasting memories, and now your daughter's in ICU, and she was freaking out. And I was able to tell her, I even remember her name because it doesn't happen. I was like, Stephanie,
Yeah.
go take care of your daughter.
Right.
You are covered. You're good. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And it was I think it was like a $650,000 bill we got. And I was like, and I was like, take care of your daughter. You're fine. Because imagine not having the right insurance and getting that $650,000 bill in the mail. Can you imagine? That can wipe people out. And Harvard University did a study that 70% of personal bankruptcies in America are due to medical bills.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I had two knee replacements. I thank God. I mean, we had health insurance and all of that. But when I saw, they send you what the total was and what the insurance company paid. And this was years ago, $100,000 for one knee.
Yeah.
I tell people I'm like the bionic woman. I'm walking around with $200,000 worth of two new knees.
all titanium and yeah, no, it's right. So that's
crazy.
It's very, very important to have that coverage in place. And again, that was one of our clients who was on the health share plan, and she couldn't believe it. She's like, this is the greatest thing ever. And the process also, they make the process so easy. Like with my wife's surgery, I just took the bill, uploaded it to the portal. They fought. Now, don't think that the insurance company actually paid $100,000 because that's just a fictitious number. My wife's original surgery, they sent us a bill for $535,000. Poor woman was passed out on the kitchen floor holding the bill. Like I was like, honey, it's a nonsense number.
Right.
But and I don't know why they do that. By the way, but yes. They negotiate it down, but still, let's say they negotiate down to 50,000. What is it? 80% of Americans don't even have enough to make their 3 months of living expenses. Imagine having to write a $50,000 check. So that's the approach that we take with all of our clients. We first assess. I don't know. You've never seen us on a call, but you'll hear it from your agents. First thing we ask them is like, what do you currently have? What do you like about the plan? What do you not like about it? The number one thing is I hate paying $2,000 a month for health insurance that we don't use. And I tell them, well, that's a good thing that you don't use it. You're healthy. And then they laugh. And, and also another approach, as you can see, we take a jovial, because nobody likes talking about insurance, right?
Right.
They hold their cards to their chest and they're scared about asking questions. So we make it, and Ira, again, like you said, we make it educational. I want you to learn, understand what we're talking about, and then and there's no rush. The beauty of also what we offer your agents is they can obtain coverage at any time of the year. There's no specific open enrollment that they're in a rush, come November, December, oh, I have to make a decision. No, you want to purchase it for May 1st, for June 1st, for September 1st. Doesn't matter. But there's no rush to action.
Yeah. I know also as we're getting going and you're beginning to talk to, in addition to the real estate agents, also some of our brokerages and broker owners. And there's a lot more that has to be known, understood, and shaped when you're talking with somebody that owns and runs a company that has a combination of 1099 people, W-2 people, part-time workers, and so on. Just as an overview, how do you approach working with a company to establish programs in the health insurance and life insurance areas, et cetera, that help them both as the business owners and also to be able to provide services to their employees and agents?
So it's really the same approach. It's, we want to get as much information as possible as what they currently have. Health insurance for companies is now their third line item or second line item of expense. And it's only gone up. I've never seen someone get a decrease in their health insurance. So we're going to look at what they currently have. Does it work for their employees? And we're going to look to see how we can make some changes, how we can offer some better coverages. Maybe they might need some accident insurance or critical illness insurance. Now there's cancer policies as well, to see what we can add on. Now, does that have to be an add-on expense for the employer, or can we make it a voluntary for just the employee? That could be very inexpensive. So we look at the entire puzzle. We look at the entire chessboard. Say, okay, this is what you currently have. This is what you're allocating here. And then we go and say, okay, how can we help the client save money on their premium? Because that's usually the reason they're coming to us. Or they can just say, you know what? We really don't like our broker. We see our broker once a year. Come renewal time, he hands us the renewal. It's a 17% increase with no explanation. Well, wait a second. Did you have any large claims? Why are you getting this 17%? Maybe you have such a low participation. Why is that? So we ask the questions, and we're very involved. We try to do at least once a quarter with the clients and say, okay, where are we? How's the plan? What are the reactions? And we also like to become an extension of, because the HR person, the human resources person or department, it's not a money-making entity. So the company looks at expense. So you might only have one or two people doing HR for a 200-300 person company. They're overwhelmed. So we also like to become an extension of that HR to say, hey, how can we take some of this administrative burden off of you as well, so you can be more proactive and not reactive in that position?
And that is critical. I can tell you, in past times when I owned and also ran companies that had hundreds of workers, and most of them were W-2 people, and we had to. The custom was in those days, as part of what you offered the workers, was a range of what we called inside protective programs, which was the health insurance. It was some kind of life insurance plan. It was some kind of 401k plan. And they always were a complication. And because we didn't do this, whether it was my fault or, can't go back 15 years and blame somebody. But when you're doing these evaluations on an annual basis, I will tell you that every one of those analyses were always laced with surprise, as opposed to just looking on a quarterly basis at where we are, how many people do we have, what are our expenses, what has changed, are there better programs? That changes things tremendously for anticipating, projecting, and managing expense against the revenue and cash flow that a company has, that you really have to be thinking about, particularly in the real estate business, where everything is always 90 days away from the time you made a deal. That's a critically important thing, and Global and Strategic step in and help with that.
Exactly. Yeah. We want to know what's going on with our clients, what's changing, because like you said, businesses change every quarter. Things will change, and so we want to be ahead of it. We don't want. We got a company out in Ohio. Their broker, they said, we see our broker once a year. That's it. And when I started going through what they had, I was saying, how is this that you're paying for the life insurance for all your employees, but there's only 30 employees on the plan? You have 52 employees. Where's the disconnect? So there's the approach we take is a much friendlier approach. We want to know our clients. We want to know what's going on with them. Are you growing? Are you not growing? Do you need some of these coverages? They had short-term disability, but then they didn't have long-term disability for their employees. I'm like, why? What was the reasoning? And the HR person was like, I don't know. That's what our broker told us to do. So we look at things differently. I guess, are we better, worse? All I know is the approach that we take is working, because it's very rare that a client leaves us. It's very rare that a client can outgrow us, but also we tend to stay, again, in our lane. We're not going after the IBMs and the Coca-Colas and the world. We really like the companies that are 500 employees and down, because at some point in the conversations, you get to know the owner of the company. You get to know the CFO of the company, So, and that's what we want. We take that friendly approach because I'm interested in your business. How are things going? It just so happens that we're saturated in the real estate industry because we saw such a need. When someone came to us and said, how is it you have millions of real estate agents, 70% are walking around with nothing, which was a scary statistic when we started to, peel the onion back, and said, and nobody wants to take a step. And my business partner and I, well, it was 8 years ago, we said, there has to be a way to do this. Because the plans that we had 8 years ago for realtors to what we have now is night and day. Mm-hmm. Really, these are strong. We have networks with Blue Cross Blue Shield, Cigna, Multiplan, PHCS. These are nationwide networks that now the realtors and 1099 contractors have access to. And through realtors, it's hey, my husband just opened up a tire company, a tire shop. He's got 4 employees. Can you help them? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Hey, we have another realtor in Texas introduced us to a trucking company. They move oil back and forth. Can you help them? Absolutely. So through the realtors, then the relationships that we're building, it's like, hey, can you help my client? Mm-hmm. Just today before this, a realtor in Florida introduced me to her attorney in Connecticut, who's moving from Connecticut to Florida. He's paying $1,700 a month for him and his 2 kids. On our plan, now he's going to pay $700.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm expecting a nice Christmas gift.
So to wrap it up, I'm a real estate agent. I'm working with my home buyer, and I'm not an insurance person. I'm not an insurance expert. I'm not selling insurance, but yet I need to, as a matter of service to my client, to help them to understand the big picture and the elements that go along with protecting themselves as they're buying this new property. What would an agent be saying and demonstrating to their clients or the prospects that they're meeting with to help them understand that along the way, there's a place to go and there are things that you should be aware of as part of purchasing that home? What does an agent tell folks?
So when I moved from New York to Atlanta, I didn't know anybody. I knew my real estate broker, right? So the real estate broker, an agent, is really an advisor, right? I need a cleaning lady. I need a pest removal company. I had 2 trees to move. Who did I call? Who's going to know better than your real estate agent?
Right.
Because they know everything that's going on. Wait, why are you moving to this area? Oh, how are the schools, right? What's the first people? How are the schools? How are the hospitals? How are the doctors? So what I recommend is that the real estate agent have a checklist. Hey, and on that checklist, do you need help with any of these now that you're moving here? How can I help you? Um, because one of the things when we got into the insurance business was um, like how to how can I help you reduce some of your costs to pay for this? So I'm going to look at your electric bill. I'm going to look at your telephone bill. I'm going to look at your mortgage rate and things like that to help find that money. So on that checklist, I would have, hey, when's the last time you actually looked at your, especially if you know that they're a 1099, if they own their own business or something like that. Hey, when is the last time you actually looked at, reducing your healthcare costs?
Mhm.
Now they might look at you like, wait, no, healthcare costs never go down, right? That's it always keeps going up. So I would recommend having a checklist. Say, hey, is there another way? Can I help you with any of these? And then they might say, oh, you know what? I haven't looked at my auto insurance. I haven't looked at my car. There are certain things that they haven't looked at in years, and
Right.
that's a great way because you are an advisor. You're not just, and for your industry, just like mine, it's all about relationships. So if they know that, hey, I can rely on Ira. Ira helped me out with my tree removal. Ira helped me find my landscaper that I had now. And Ira helped me out with my insurance guy. Ira helped me out with my mortgage guy. So you become a resource to your clients, and it's just another way to say, hey, Ira helped me save $1,000 a month on my health insurance. So
And the reward that I got for doing that was my favorite Hershey bar chocolate candy. They buy me a bag of Hershey bars, and we all move on. That's excellent.
you see, you're a simple man, Ira.
If it has chocolate and salt, I'm in. That's my whole deal. One of the ways, folks, that you can learn more about various programs that Ronnie and his companies and group have is they have a great website that now is partnered with us at Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. It's yhsgrbenefits.com. And we will put that in the information that'll accompany this in the podcast. And it's a website that will give you a good illustration of each of the different areas of insurance that you should be thinking about. And also gives you a direct line to be able to call right in and get on the phone and talk with Ronnie or one of Ronnie's people and advisors to dig into the individual things you do. So the website again is www.yhsgrbenefits.com. And that's a direct online, direct line straight to Ronnie and his entire team.
Right. The website, there's no password protection or anything like that. Everyone has access to the website. And there Ira goes dating himself by using the phone. Ira, nobody uses phone anymore. So what we want you to do is schedule a consultation. That's the best thing. Schedule a consultation with one of our advisors, and they'll be able to help you. I wish people still use phones, Ira, but nobody.
I still live in the world in which my mother had a wall telephone with a 20-foot stretch cord. And there were only two people in the house that were actually allowed to actually use the phone, which was my mother and my father. And our friends didn't call us. They wanted to see us. They came and knocked on the door.
Yeah, or we just took our bicycle and rode to their house.
Yeah.
That was
Right.
it. But
Exactly.
the website has all the information. We made it as transparent as possible. The pricing is on there. Everything is on there. All the information that you need to really see what's being offered. But again, I always recommend scheduling a consultation with one of our advisors who, again, will learn what your needs are, what's important, and will hopefully find you the right plan.
100%. So again, yhsgrbenefits.com. And it's just one of the make life easier programs that Ronnie with Global and Strategic are beginning to supply to us to make it so that a tough and complex set of issues, and I think Ronnie in his overviews and some of his explanations, has been able to show us that, yes, there's a lot that you have to deal with and know. But when you have a great team and they have programs and people that can help simplify it so that you can find solutions to the questions that you have, that's the bottom line, solutions. And just as we are, our mission and our call to action is second mile service. That's why we're partnered with Global and Strategic. They're 100% second mile service. So, Ronnie, I want to thank you tremendously for taking time today to get us sort of oriented and started and equate the folks that are thinking about homes to also be thinking about all the things that go on in your life that impact you, so that you don't lose that home, you don't lose your income, and you have what you need to do. So it's been a great session. I want to wrap it up this way. Miss Stephanie, just give us one more fast. If I was going to go out to Mother's Day and I was going to do the totally coolest things, what would you summarize?
All right. So Mother's Day in Ackworth, barbecue on the lake at Logan Park, Woodstock theater, concert on the green down in the center of the Woodstock. The powwow on at Bowling Park in Canton, the Indian Powwow and Art Festival. And if you're in the city, Sweet Auburn Spring Fest. So no matter where you are on Mother's Day, there's something to do.
All right. So what are we doing for Mother's Day, Mom? We don't know. We don't know. So let me thank our great guest, Ronny Sulimani, who we will bring back periodically to talk to you, because there are lots of topics that we could dig into and spend an hour with that I know will have great value to you, particularly if you're in a situation where you have family and real estate and expenses, and that all of the different kinds of insurances that let you maintain and profit from real estate can be helped in many different ways by understanding and implementing insurance programs. So Ronny Sulimani, I can say this, Ronny Sulimani, with Global Partners and with Strategic Insurance Consultants. I want to thank you very much for joining us, Stephanie. Good stuff for us to take a look at. If you like what you heard today, and this is the first time that you're watching this pod, go ahead and like it. And also join us, follow us, so that you can get announcements and join this pod every week. And also see all of the different smaller videos that we will produce that you'll be able to download that will help you in a lot of different areas related to what we talked about today and what we talk about in real estate. So be our friend, like us, follow us, and come on back again next week. So for all of us today, we want to thank you for joining ATL Home and Market. We wish you a great week and a great Mother's Day, and have a good time in the spring, because it can't be better than being in the South.
That's right.